Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak to keynote speaker, podcast host, and business coach Bradley Hamner. I got a whole bunch of opening lines for you there, bud. welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Jason.
And today we're going to talk about transforming your business from rainmaker to architect. Walk me through what that actually means for people who are listening, being transformed from rainmaker to architect. Let's just open up with that.
Yeah, I was the rainmaker of my business. Everything was dependent upon me. When I started my business, I got into it for freedom and flexibility up until the point that it didn't. Everything was dependent on me, not just marketing and certainly sales. Everything ran through me. I had to go through the journey of making the transition to becoming the architect of my business. And so that's what I did. That's what we share with other people to do as well.
And how did you transition from rainmaker to architect? Like, what were the steps you took to do that?
Well, first of all, I burned out. I burned out.
Completely. Been there, done that.
I completely burned out. I look, it worked. I knew how to sell and I knew how to work my tail off. I got that from my dad. My dad's a farmer. He's in agriculture. You just do it. And my dad didn't teach me that. I genuinely mean it. I just watched my dad. He worked all the time. So what do you think I pick up? I pick up the value of hard work. When you're a farmer, you're farming at that time close to 10,000 acres. It's a lot to keep up with.
And it doesn't end, right? It's morning, noon, and night. Like there's a lot of moving parts, and it's backbreaking work from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to over-index on that, but it is backbreaking work from the more of the standpoint that, when weather is coming in and you've got to get the harvest out, you're in the field to 2 and 3 in the morning because that's what you have to do. Or it's planting season in the spring, et cetera. So I picked that up from my dad, and I'm grateful for that I picked that up. And my first jobs were in sales. So I knew how to do those things. That's what I learned to do. That's what got my business off the ground. And honestly, Jason, it's what was needed to get my business off the ground. So it's not like one of those things where it didn't work. It actually was working.
It sounds like you learned like some lessons, not only in the farm, but then as you started to grow your business. Like, what were some of the biggest lessons you learned in the business that you started, like that you could go back in time and tell yourself, hey, these are the things I learned, do this next time to succeed faster?
Yeah. Well, and I have actually been able to do that since burning out because everything was dependent on me. Everybody had said, I mean, look, you don't have to be in business very long for people to say systems and processes. That's what you need to do.
Yep.
Well, I heard that so many times. You read the books, you read E-Myth, you go to conferences, you're just around people and like systems and processes. And so I was like, what does that mean? Nobody ever teaches me how to do this thing. Like, I get it, but like, what does that actually look like? And so in 2015, I burned out, ended up making my way. I was in strategic coach at the time, and I went up there and I met a guy. We were actually doing the 10X exercise. Now, the book has actually come out about this last year. And he said, well, we did 40 million in revenue. I made 5 million personally. So here's what 400 million and 50 would look like. And I was like, what? What? And he said, okay, you go. And I was like, I'm not going. You make more per month than my business does in a year in revenue. Are you kidding me? Like, no. And he said, hey, man, it's just systems and processes. And I said something snarky back like, man, don't give me that. I've heard that so many times. And he said, look, at lunch, I'll show you. And he did. And that's the moment things changed because I actually visually saw. It's one of those moments, Jason, where you go, oh, I thought it was this level. And people I know listening to this can't see it. But like, he showed me, this is actually what it takes. It's kind of like
your hand went off the screen, basically.
My hand went off the screen. Like it's like hearing that you need to. I played golf in college, so it's like you think you're practicing hard, and then you see an All-American come on the team,
right? And
you see what they do, and then you go, "Oh, well, now I get what it actually takes to be great."
This is that king of the corner situation where growing up and like I started out entrepreneur, running small businesses on a corner, bottom level of a house type of thing. And people would, come see me and see all the businesses I was doing. I was in my 20s and I was so proud of myself for being king of the corner, but like you said, it was such a low level kind of situation. And they would say to me, man, you're just a king of the corner. You want to be king of the world. You got to get out there and do more bigger things and get out of this little room. And when I
Totally.
kept hearing that, I realized I had to get out and start, running businesses outside of my little kind of enclave. So how did you grow your business? Because like the hardest thing that people always ask me is, how do I get my business to grow from where it is right now, which is probably just a small little lifestyle business, to become a scalable business where they can hire dozens of people to start working for them? What are like the things that you did to get above the business?
Okay. Well, I finally started to get my business out of my head.
Okay.
I started to get my business out of my head. Everything was in my head. The vision of what we wanted to do, the plan that we wanted to execute on, how we needed to do things, etc. Up until that point, nothing, nothing, zero was documented. Okay.
That's tough.
Then, okay, that in and of itself is big. Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, oh, and by the way, I will say this. There were times before that kind of life-changing event in Toronto, there were times that I would put on my calendar. I know people have done this. You've probably done this too. We've all done it. I'm going to take Friday afternoon. I'm going to lock myself in a dark room for 6 hours and I'm going to document everything that we do. Like
Oh,
I put that on my
heck yeah.
calendar a number of times. Like I need to do that. What happens is it's like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to do it. You're going to push it off. It's never going to happen. And so that moment finally got me to realize like, okay, what do I actually do? And so there were times I would look at after Toronto, I was looking at a blank Word document of like, I don't even know where to begin. Okay. And so I will tell everybody that what I did not realize at the time is I had Rembrandts in the attic, meaning on my quite literal desktop and in our shared, SharePoint drive, there were a ton of assets I already had,
Mhm.
but I did not have a uniform way of organizing them. Okay. And so everything was a scavenger hunt.
Yeah. It's
We
just you just didn't have organization really, which is
didn't have an organization.
yeah. I mean, I always tell people you got to make an outline of your entire just bullet points. Just start with bullet points. Organization. Make a Google Doc with links to all of your most important docs so people can just kind of click away and open everything up. So, I mean, you must have built your own, like, because you said there's systems and processes. I've been talking about the same thing for 2 decades, but everybody's systems and process or models and frameworks are different, right? Because what works for one person doesn't work for another and vice versa. So, what are some of the models and frameworks that helped you grow your business that you think could work for most people listening in?
Yeah, I totally agree that there are some nuance to every business. But what we teach, I do believe, is uniform for all the businesses that we work
Sweet.
with. We're
Lay
agnostic.
it on me. Lay it
Yeah,
on me.
we're agnostic in the industries that we work with. All of our customers are between like $500,000 in revenue to about 5 million. We know that space really, really well. I cannot tell
Awesome.
you because I personally want to be fully transparent. I have not taken a company past 5 million in revenue, so I don't know whether it works past that
Still a
number.
chunk of change.
Okay, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying like
five
that's
5 million people. The people dream about making that much in their lifetime.
yeah, for sure. Like, honestly, most of our clients are right around the $1 million range, and they're saying, "Hey, if I can get to two, that's life changing, right? Or if they can get to
Bingo. Yeah. So
three, I mean, so
five's
like
huge.
yeah, and I know like in the venture capital world, and I've got a buddy of mine that's in that space that, they're throwing around, 10 million, 25 million, 30
Sure.
million. Like it's just
50
literally
million,
like,
100 million. Yeah, I know.
yeah, I mean,
It's
the difference in 25 million and 50 and 30 million to them is like nothing. And I'm like, well, dude, that's
nothing.
$5 million.
That's
Like,
$5 million.
it's something I'm like, all right. So here's the deal.
So
We
let's
have
talk
five
about it.
principles. Lead yourself first, clarity, alignment, team, execution. Those are our five principles. And I want to be clear, one of them is really just about the entrepreneur, him or herself, and that is lead
Okay.
yourself first. Okay. All right. First of all, lead yourself first is really all about you. We have to first take care of you because everything is downstream from that. Okay. That's number one.
Mhm.
The other four principles, clarity, alignment, team, execution, is about the business. All right. Second of all, every principle has three playbooks. Every principle has three playbooks. See, these are the things I needed to, I had to solve and figure out for myself first, Jason,
Right.
is that words were getting used interchangeably, and I got confused. This was, years ago. I was like, wait a minute. What's the difference of a playbook, an SOP, a system, and a process, and a checklist? And like it just got all
Yeah,
confusing. And
I
so
got it.
we
Happened to me too.
we have now naming conventions for how we walk through. This is what this means. This is what that means. And so let me just go two layers on deep on this, which is principles and playbooks. And so if you just know that, if you just organized your Google Drive, your Dropbox Drive onto those two levels, and had every principle has 3 playbooks, then you can start to begin to see that the business runs on 15 playbooks.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, all the businesses I've ever run, it's always been super duper organized. And what I have found, and I wanted to ask you this, is I've worked with a lot of people. We're talking dozens of people over the years and probably even hundreds, and they don't always want to work the way that I work, even though it's super organized. So how do you get everybody on the same mindset? Because a lot of what you're saying is it's all a mindset, and you have to be lead. You have to lead yourself, but also lead a team. So how do you do all that's tough? I mean, not everybody can do that. So what do you suggest? What's your advice?
It's why 96% of small businesses never see their 10th birthday.
Uh,
I mean, this stuff isn't easy. Anybody that tells you it's easy is trying to sell you something.
yeah,
I mean,
it's not easy.
you have a program. I have a program, of course. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a methodology, but like this is not easy. 20% after year one, 50% after year five, and 91 to 96%, depending on where you pull your data from, don't see their 10th birthday. So yeah, business is absolutely really, really hard. But I want to tell you, of those statistics, did you know that in 5 years of showing up on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies, 67% of the companies that have shown up on the fastest growing companies within 5 years of showing up on the list are out of business or have been disadvantagedly sold.
Oh
So
wow.
therefore, it shows you growth is actually not
Yeah, no.
the holy grail. It's not, because the fastest growing companies have
Are
a
also the
higher
fastest growing
they have a
quitting
higher
companies.
failure rate than all startups.
Wow,
Okay.
that's insane.
All right. Now let me go the other way. There is a segment that only has a 15% failure rate, and that's franchises. Well, by their
Proven
definition,
models. Yeah.
franchises have operating systems. That's what you're buying.
It's a
And so
proven model
therefore,
that's already working and you're just buying into it. You're also
you're buying a
paying
model that
them
works.
money and losing all the profit to them or a lot of it, but it's profitable, right? That's the key, is that it is profitable,
Totally.
and it's like almost guaranteed versus running your own business. So to close things out, let's give some people advice on starting their own business, how to stay motivated, how to get through it, how to innovate. What are your thoughts on going above the business and really kind of succeeding, right? That's the goal here.
Okay. Well, I want to. Maybe I have a contrarian thought around this. If
That's okay.
somebody is wanting to start their business and they feel like they need motivation to get started in their business, I'm going to tell you that probably entrepreneurship may not be the right thing for you. Okay. So now that may not. No, I'm just serious. Like, but
No, it's
now,
true.
what I will say to answer your question, and that is my honest answer. Like, if that's what you're looking for, then don't just go
Well,
be a W-2
people ask all
employee.
the time, right? They say, how do you do this day in after day out? How do you just you keep, you're running into walls and getting beat up, and you're still out there and you're succeeding. But man, how do you just keep doing it? And it's
Yeah.
part of our
Yeah.
blood, right? It's part of our DNA.
Yeah. So I do think though there is a part like perseverance through tough times. We have a higher tolerance for
Hmm.
ambiguity. Yes, that does not mean that I don't get down. That doesn't mean I don't get frustrated. That doesn't mean I don't start to my confidence doesn't waver. Yes, it absolutely does.
Yep.
Absolutely. So let me give people a very tangible thing is have a cadence on a weekly, quarterly, and once a year basis to look backwards and find the wins. Find
Mm,
the
I,
wins.
I like
We
that.
call that Sunday night planning to do it on a weekly basis. We walk our clients through quarterly sprint planning. And what the very first thing we do, literally the very first thing we do is to say, all right, you got 8 minutes on the clock. What were all of the wins that you had from the past quarter? In that 8 minutes, that's all it takes. 8 minutes. Okay. People find, oh, you know what? Actually, okay, that was actually a little bit better than I thought. We did make some progress, even though that was tough to have turnover of my sales team. I did learn the importance of having a bench I'm just giving that as an example.
Yeah, no, it makes
So
sense.
that's the one I would do is you got to look back and find the wins.
I love that, the wins. So let's tell people where they can find out more about what you do.
Yeah, blueprintos.com. If they go to blueprintos.com/assets, there is a number of free tools that we
Nice.
use, tools that our members get. And I've got some training videos on there as well. So go to blueprintos.com/assets and
Assets.
they can check out some of our stuff.
Get that free stuff, guys. Thanks, Bradley. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.